Hi guys. First of all, I hope everything is going okay for you or as well as possible. That you're healthy, that your family is healthy, and that you're not going completely crazy being locked in your house. Today we're going to do a simple class on presentations. I'm going to give you some language on presentations, and after a couple of exercises you're going to try to do your own version of a presentation, which you can send to me at the usual WhatsApp number. What you can see there is some common expressions that we very often use in presentations in English. I'm going to do a presentation now in a moment. As you are listening, just tick off the expressions that you can see there that I use in my presentation. Okay, first of all, let me thank you all for coming. I'm going to talk to you this afternoon about my favourite place in Ireland. Probably when you think of Ireland, you think of something like this. You think of green fields, you think of grey skies, you think of the countryside, or perhaps you think of this, you think of bad weather. Unfortunately, we have quite a lot of bad weather in Ireland. Or perhaps you think of this, which is drinking and pubs and beer and Guinness and guys dressed in green hats on St. Patrick's Day and all those things. But maybe what you don't think of is this, which is beaches, which is sun occasionally, and surfing and swimming and all those things you can do on a beach. There's a place called Barley Cove. Barley Cove is my favourite place in Ireland. Barley Cove is more or less translated as that in Spanish. I'm not going to try to pronounce it in case I do it badly and you all laugh at me. My presentation is divided into 3 parts. First, I'm going to talk about the history of Barley Cove. Second, I'll talk about where it is and how to get there. And then finally, I'll talk about why it's special to me. There'll be some time for questions at the end, so I'd ask you to hold any questions you have until the end. So, let's start by looking at the history of Barley Cove. You can see here in this slide at the bottom, you can see there it says 1755. It also says Lisbon, which is, I assume, the German for Lisboa in Portugal. In 1755, there was a huge earthquake in Lisboa, destroyed the city, but it also caused a tsunami to travel to Ireland, to other places as well, obviously, but to Ireland. And because of this tsunami, it caused sand dunes to form on the beach in Barley Cove. Because of that, Barley Cove is the only beach in Ireland that has large sand dunes. Okay, so moving on to where it is in Ireland. You can see the red pin in the bottom left of the picture. That's where Barley Cove is, almost in the sea, almost not Ireland. It's so far to the south and west of Ireland. Dublin's up there. You can see on the east. It's about 4 or 5 hours drive, I would say. So if you're ever in Dublin, you have a car, 4 or 5 hours spare, and obviously another 4 or 5 hours to drive back. Then, go to Barley Cove. And as you can see here on the left, you've got me, small child. That's the small Stephen and his sister. When I was a child, we used to go to Barley Cove all the time. Every summer, my father was from close to the area, and we used to spend time there. There was lots of fantastic things to do there as a child, but we weren't interested. We just wanted to go to Barley Cove every day because it was so much fun being on the beach. Unfortunately, the weather didn't allow us to always do it, but you cannot have everything. So to come back to my main point, there's a different side of Ireland. You are probably thinking, like I said at the start of this, of the drinking and the Patrick's Day and the terrible green hats and the tourists and all those things. But there's another side of Ireland, this side that we've spoken about already. So, that's it. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Okay, there's the answers. Okay guys, here's the activity sheet. You can see I've highlighted different expressions. We'll go through a couple of them together. You can see here at the top we've got 4 introduction expressions, all very common, all very useful. Further down at the bottom then, on the other hand, here in this beautiful turquoise, you have conclusion expressions. So to sum up, right, so let's stop there. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. In between then, we've got a couple of different ones. These ones in green are general transition expressions. Let's start by looking at, we use a lot of these for this just before we change the slide or just when we start on the new slide. All of them, I think you can kind of understand what they mean. I don't really need to explain the meaning of them. The one different one, which I want to highlight, is this one here. Now I'm going to hand over to somebody who will talk to you about something. This would be something we would use all the time in English if we're doing a presentation with more than one person. So say, for example, you start, you're talking about whatever, and then there's a point in your presentation where you swap and you give your partner a chance to start speaking. This is how we would handle that transition. We'd say, now I'm going to hand over to Mr. Macho, for example, who will talk to you about Barley Cove's history or whatever it is. And then the last ones you can see is these kind of purpley pinky ones. In reality, very, very similar to the green transition expressions. I'll come back to this in a moment to come back to my main point. As I said, as you can see, again, these are kind of transitions. They're ways to focus the attention of the person speaking, but they're also a little bit different because they direct the listener to go backwards in time a little bit and go backwards and think about different slides. Getting new expressions is fantastic and it's lovely and it's great to know how to transition in a presentation. But what's just as important is knowing how to say these expressions in a natural way with natural intonation that makes us sound like natural, confident English speakers. Okay, what you can see here on the screen, we have a little extract from my presentation. This is the part when I started giving the introduction to the structure of how I was going to speak. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play that section, and as you listen to it, mark the words that I am stressing. Mark the intonation as I speak. My presentation is divided into 3 parts. First, I'm going to talk about the history of Barley Cove. Second, I'll talk about where it is and how to get there. And then finally, I'll talk about why it's special to me. My presentation is divided into 3 parts. First, I'm going to talk about the history of Barley Cove. Second, I'll talk about where it is and how to get there. And then finally, I'll talk about why it's special to me. It's interesting, isn't it? We almost never stress the end of the sentence. You can see here, what we tend to stress with these type of expressions is the start, the words at the start, and words that are kind of in the middle. The end always goes down. So that's a basic little rule for you to follow. Up at the start or up in the middle and down at the end. Here's another little exercise for you. Here are 5 of the expressions from the worksheet. Mark in your mind or on a piece of paper which words you would stress and then practice saying them. It's really important to remember that when I talk about stress, when I talk about intonation, I'm talking about not just saying it more loudly, which none of you will have problems doing, but also saying it more slowly, which is essential. Saying something more loudly does not give intonation, does not give stress, does not make you speak naturally. You have to say it more slowly as well, like I just did there, like I just demonstrated so beautifully when I said slowly, more slowly. And now for the real fun part, your presentation. You have 3 choices. Pick whichever of those 3 that you want. Do you want to talk about your favorite place in Spain? Do you want to talk about the coronavirus? Do you want to talk about your career? Remembering, of course, that career does not mean university. It only means the sequence of jobs in your life. In case it helps you, this is the template I used for my presentation. I had an introduction. I had a central message. My central message was that there's another side of Ireland. I had 2 or 3 points, had a conclusion, and then there was an invitation for questions. Really simple. That's a simple 5-step template for you to follow. I'd say 10 minutes is enough to prepare your presentation, and then just record it on your phone and send it to me on WhatsApp. Just so you're clear, you don't need to start doing slides and editing and all those things that I've been doing. You talking into your phone is more than enough. And please, 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 please use the expressions. Okay, that's it. If you've made it this far, I really appreciate it. I appreciate your attention. I appreciate you watching the video. I hope it's been useful for you. I look forward to receiving whatever presentations you send me on whatever topic it is that you want to talk about. That's my child running around outside. And I sincerely hope I will see you all again soon, and that everything works out okay for you during the next few weeks.